Okay, app services. Well, app services start off with an app service plan. App service plans are the billing and performance tier for the app services. You can have multiple app services within a single app service plan. So let's go to our app service. As you can see here in the overview, we've pointed in the default Azure websites.net domain. If I click on it, my application will start. You can see this is the production version 0.9. Very nice blue colorish. Maybe we want to do that a little something else, but we'll come to that in a bit. So let's close this. And then the first steps, how can you deploy your environment? Well, there are multiple ways to deploy. You can use, as you can see here, CI/CD to use GitHub, Bitbucket, local Git, Azure repos, or use an external Git for your push deployment. But also you can use FTPS to deploy your environment, of course. So then you deployed your environment. You need to scale. So by default, you have two options in there. Already mentioned in before, of course, and scale up and scale out. Scale up, adding more CPU memory to your environment, just like we can see here. Currently, I'm using the premium P0 V3 version, which has one CPU and 4 gigs of memory, and it's cost me 41 euros a month. If I just need more performance, I just can select another one, and it increases, as you can see, my CPU and memory, but also, of course, the price. You can also use the legacy or basic for dev test stuff. I wouldn't recommend those because these are really for low demanding workloads. But if this is not sufficient and your application is stateless, then a better option would be to scale out. And you have multiple ways to scale out. Scale out basically means that you just use the same resource, but then multiply it. So currently we have one instance which has 4 gigs of memory and a single CPU, and you can just make multiple instances of it. So this means that you have 5 instances with one CPU and 4 gigs of memory. This can be done manual, but you can also use this automatically. So Microsoft can decide based on the traffic if your application needs to be scaled out. Another option is rule-based, so that you define your own metrics on your app or maybe on CPU or some other metric to scale out or scale in your app service plan. So let's see this. So now I've added 5. This is the manual way. So just hit save. As you can see here, it's one instance, and now it's 5. And it also shows in the overview button, as you can see here, P0 V3, that's my tier, and it's 5 instances running. Okay, as we know, this is the workshop, and I want to use my own custom domain in it. Well, within App Services, it's very easy to do. You just browse to custom domains, add your custom domain. Because the App Service domain is coming from my private registry, I'll just enter my domain here. Call it a webshop at bodifay.net. So it says, well, you have to prove that you're owner of this domain, of course. So it lets you add two entries, one CNAME to forward it to this website on the back end, and a text record to prove you're the owner of the domain, of course. I already did so, as I will show you here in my DNS zone. Go to the record sets, and here you can see I have a web shop, which is pointing to this Azure website, and I have a text record with the entry in it. So if I click validate, it should say validation pass, and I should say can add. And then currently my custom domain is being added to the web app. It's creating an app service certificate, and it will be bound to this URL. So if this is finished and I go to my webshop.bodifay.net, it will just point out to the same web app using a certificate. So it took a while to get that done, but as you can see now, the web shop is safe here. So a webshop.bodifay.net, and you can see it's now running my own nice URL. And if I go to the connectivity part, you can see that it has a certificate bound to it, which is from GeoTrust, and it has a validation of half a year. So this is also something, if you're familiar with Let's Encrypt, this is basically the same way. It's automatically also renewed in a timely fashion. Okay, let's skip that then for now, and then we go to the development tools, because there are some nice advanced tools that you can use in your environment. So I'll just open this up in a new tab. So here we have some advanced tools. Since I deployed five instances of my web app, I can select all of the 5 instances to see if what happens. This is ideal, of course, when you want to see the processes running. So now you can see that these processes are running in this specific instance for my web app. I can deploy a lot of site extensions if I want to. As you can see, there are really a lot. If you need them, I can deploy some tools. I can do a zip push deploy, but I also can download my full deployment script, some diagnostics and stuff like that. The debug console, which is also kind of powerful. You can just start a command prompt to a path resource, and I even can cd into the Windows folder to make sure that, hey, this is just a Windows folder. I, of course, have restricted permissions here, but just to see that even within a path service, you have access to a command line. Finally, the environment. This gives you a lot of info about the system. As you can see here, this is running Windows version, the version of Windows, the instance ID, but also all kinds of app settings, connection strings that you can use. If you want to use the SQL Express part, you can use the connection strings, all kind of environment variables. So this can, in some cases, be very handy. Okay, now we deployed our environment, of course, but we want to make changes. And changes, our easiest way to do that is using deployment slots. As you can see here, this is the workshop that we created that I just showed. If I go to the staging slot, which is a different slot, I just deployed my new version of code in here. So as you can see, this is also another URL bound to it. If I just click that, you see this is the staging slot. It is though version 1.0a. It has a different logo, and the most important thing here, it's green. Okay, so I want to have this deployed to my production. There are several ways to achieve that. One of those is that you can, and let's go back to this, that you can test in production, which means that you can just say, well, let's make it 50-50. So 50% of the traffic goes to my current production environment and 50% goes to my staging environment. That's testing in production, or other percentages, of course. But you can also say, well, I don't want to do that. I just want to swap the slot. So I want my URL, webshop.bodifay.net, to use the staging part. So the staging part will just be swaps slots, as we can do by this. So I just have to confirm that and just hit the start swap. So staging and production are now being swapped. This takes a few seconds. And the slots have been swapped. So if we now go to our web shop, see, it's production version using version 1.0, and it has the green colors that I just had in my staging environment, and it has a new logo.